All right. So today's topic is from one of you guys. I asked what you wanted to hear about, and um, and it's a good one. It's super great question, and um, we all probably have stories about it. So, what does it look like when messengers assist us on our journey? So, I want to talk a little bit about what messengers are and because there's a lot of you can get in trouble um, in your life if you start looking outside of yourself and you start following and going down a path. So uh, messengers, people, spirit guides, nature, objects, books, these are all um, moved through our life in our growing process to help us continue to grow. So it can look like a lot of different things in that process. But excuse me, as we're um, asking or seeking, uh, moving in our life, wanting more. What do I do now? Or uh, where should I go next? We're in, we're getting building the relationship, and we're getting into the relationship with the I am that we are and the divine being that we all are. And as we're developing that relationship, um, and we're getting used to hearing our own high voice, um, then uh, things will come into our path and along our path to help us have a deeper, richer, more complete relationship with the high self, the divine that we are. So, messengers and messages, because a messenger is someone who's bringing a message, um, it's going to always be in love. You have to have guidelines of to line things up to, just like you would if you were doing anything in life. Like, we just don't receive everything that comes down the pike, right? So my guidelines and my what I use for in my process is the message is always going to be love. It's going to be in line with where I'm moving, what I'm doing, and it's going to be for good, and it's relationship driven. What is coming through our life is coming into our life and across our path based on the relationship that we're seeking, the relationship that we're having. And people will say, at the right, I was really had this question and this book came, or this person came into my life, right? And um, so that's a messenger. Those are messengers. uh, we're not to surrender into that message or that messenger. So we have uh, set up some boundaries and guidelines so that we are checking in with our inner being. Does this make sense to me? Because I promise you will get messages that do not resonate, you know and people will receive them, and if I receive, and I can give an example for on every topic. If I receive a message or a confirmation or something, I will not do anything, and I will sit on it, and then it'll resonate with me in my inner being. as this is a person I need to speak to, et cetera, et cetera. So um, the message is going to be a presentation of a common message of love, growth, movement, um, where we are and where we're going, you know, this is the way type of a message. And we don't get to choose how the divine is going to speak to us all the time. And we do not choose to be somebody's guide either. So, getting some of the guidelines out there, because uh, we're becoming more and more um, open to our divine essence, and more open to who we are in our authentic being. And and messages will move through us. It has nothing to do with our mind, nothing to do with our mind, right? So we begin to become the hands, the voice of divinity in the world. And you know divine will bring people in and out of our lives, and we won't even know we're a messenger, but it's something we say or do will resonate with somebody. So it's not something that we're seeking um, to put on the checklist. It's going to happen naturally as we evolve in ourselves. So messengers, in any shape or form, people, people uh, come into our life. People um, will meet somebody and will be like, I need to spend time with this person. I'm not sure why, but I feel like I need to spend time with this person. And the whole time that we spend time with them, talking to them or listening to them, we have our ears of discernment open to what we're hearing and experiencing, right? And because I had read at one point, our high consciousness, our divine self, our I am, is always speaking. The divine is always speaking to us. We will always be able to receive our own message. When we're unable to receive it because of confusion, um, drama, sickness, whatever it is, we're distracted, then a message will come from the outside. But the message is available from the inside. Sometimes a message comes from the outside when we have just no concept that even message exists. Then it'll come through someone else or something else. So people will come into our life. We'll see a teaching, right? We'll see a teaching. We'll be like, that really resonates with me. That message right there resonates with me, because what we're listening to is the message, right? The message is resonating. The messenger, um, it's not so critical um, to we're not following then that person. We're receiving the message. How they're speaking it is resonating through our ears and our heart, so we're able to receive it. And it may be a one sentence. They might have a one liner in the play of our life, or we may watch a series of teachings, right? And it resonates each time with us in a different way. But we're always looking in to the relationship that we're in within ourselves with that. And it won't be something like way out there, like, pack your bags and leave your spouse or something. You have to double check those messages. It's going to be a message that's good and is in line with your evolution. So we get it through seeing people, reading teachings, or looking at another person's message will speak to us, will open us up to a new facet of the divine that we're not even aware of or didn't even know that exists. It will be palatable and interesting and really resonate inside of us, like, wow, this is really cool truth, and I want to know some more of it. Want to know some more of it. Um, Nature is also, you know, the hands and feet and fingers of the divine. So we will get guided through nature, through the process of nature. I will sit and look at the trees or look at the animals and the squirrels and butterflies, whatever is going on. And if I soften back and I observe, it begins to speak to me about my life, and speak to me about myself and about my life through what I am observing and how nature is in its natural state. And when we open ourselves to hearing this way, then we receive, through the air, the sun, the process of living and life of nature. That is also a messenger along our path, on this journey. Um, things things will speak to us uh, profoundly. Um, a stone, or what you could say is nature, but something that we see will click with something that we're having a question about. The I went to a I went to a retreat a year, 2 years ago, and um, I was learning some new things, different facets of divinity and different cultures. And um, the lady, we were in the singing session, and this lady's like, "Oh, go in this other room." They brought these bronze statues in from wherever they came from, and they installed them. And the energy is really amazing. And I was like, oh, I don't know, but at one point during my stay there, I said, you know what, I feel like I need to go in there and see. So I went in during a time the room wasn't being used, and I went up on the stage and I looked at these statues, and they were created by this culture to demonstrate all these facets of the divine in one statue, right? And there were several of them, and one of them was so moving to me. And I stood and stared at her. It was a beautiful, you know, creature sitting on a lotus. Like, it was very beautiful and moving. And I'm like, wow, that is so beautiful. And it is an aspect of divine love painted in a different picture than I'm used to, right? Because I was taught also, like, stay away from icons, they're evil. And so I had to get past that. So I left the room, and later, like a day later, I was eating a dinner, and a woman sat with me, and we were chatting, and I said, hey, have you seen the statues in this room? And we're talking about our experiences. And she's like, no. I go, let me take you in there. Like, they're really cool. So we went in there together, and we were alone, and we went up on stage, and I said, isn't she beautiful? And she said, oh yes, she's beautiful. And she touched it, and um, the statue smiled at her. And I said, oh my God, it smiled. And she said, I saw that. Right. And so we were like, and then I put my hand out and touched it, and I got a nod. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is so bizarre. But instantly in me, my spirit said, I am alive in everything. This is how this culture sees me in this aspect. And don't follow the statue. Notice what I look like in this facet, right? that's the divine guiding me through another culture's object to notice the facet of divinity that I was needing to see differently, right? And so that's a guide that affected me so profoundly. It affects me to this day. Um, and I came back and I said, oh, maybe I should get a picture. And Spirit said, that wasn't the point. The point was that I'm showing you a side of myself that you need to see that way. Like, this is you. This is me in you. You need to see that feminine aspect of God, right? So that's a spirit guide. Um, Spirit guides are unseen, oftentimes. Unseen. Um, I have a friend that does energy work, and she hears guides in her work. The spirit guides guide her, and she shares the information. And we can all participate in that if we want to. So, spirit guides are unseen, spiritual beings that reach down to us through time and space. So, it can come through in, it doesn't come through our mind, it comes through our spiritual aspect of us. All the spiritual things come through the spiritual aspect of our being. It comes through the heart, through the gut type of through that ethereal space within us is where these messages come through. They don't come down into our small mind, into our thinking brain. They come in and up through the thinking brain into the words that we understand, in and out. They don't come in here and then have to filter through um, our logic and life experience. So uh, we begin to learn and understand the voice of the guides coming through. It is, all of it is a different experience. It is a knowing. It is a, when I hear a message from within, um, pertaining to me or pertaining to someone else or about some work I'm doing, it is clear and different. It is not my own voice, my own thought. Uh, I'm not analyzing. It's coming through, and I'm almost I'm separate from it, and I'm not attaching myself to it. So I can say anything. I don't have to try to understand it and then recreate it and fix it so someone else can understand it. I just pass it through. So um, that's also a spirit guide. Um, So the key with all of these, and we'll go into questions and answers, is we seek a deep, meaningful relationship with ourselves and the divine, that our divine being. We are God, right? And everything is an aspect of God or God. So everything that is coming is going to come in love. And it's also going to come not how we would plan it or recognize it, right? You know, people will come across our path that we would not choose, but the message is what's important. The message is what gets our attention, right? The message is where is the divine speaking to us, and speaking to us through a vessel that is bizarre enough or different enough that it gets our attention and gets us out of our brain. Because when we're in our brain, we're controlling and we're blocking the divine speaking to us most of the time. So when, you know, um, we we find ourselves being moved to speak to someone or spend time with someone, or someone is moved to spend time with us, the divine is wanting to speak to them um, through us, or speak to us through them. And so, you know, we need to learn to recognize, and then shut up and listen. Shut up and listen. Or, you know, let move through us what needs to move through us without our embellishment. Um, so uh, that's a whole bunch of data about that. But we can unmute. Why don't you unmute? And let's see if there's any questions or comments.
I'm loving this. The whole conversation is like an affirmation for, everything that might be taken for granted in the daily goings on, right? You don't expect that when you open up a can of tomato soup and it splash on you, that it's trying to tell you something, right? You just be like, oh, damn it. Now I got tomato soup on everything, right? But it could be tons of things that's being said there, right? It could be slow down. It could be, do this with intention. It could be so many other things, right? But it's the first thing that we default to is the fear of that we've done something wrong, right? So I like that this conversation is more so an affirmation that the smallest things could be rudiment in my learnings of my discovery, exploration, uh, so on and so forth.
Yes.
That really makes sense to me.
Good. Um, everything, I say this all the time, everything is speaking. If we think of our relationship with our divine self and the divinity all around us, um, if it'd be like, instead of there being nature, and instead of there being this chair and this room and table, that it was a bunch of, um, we're used to seeing the divine in a human form. So just line up a bunch of people all surrounding me, right? And I'm in the middle of it going, you know, I'm really thinking about this or thinking about that, and they're answering. Each one that I bump into answers me. And so if we take it looking like how we were taught to picture the divine, and we take it as everything is divine and alive and energy, everything has the potential to speak a message to us, give us an answer. We don't go around like trying to read everything. That's our brain. That's our brain, and that's crazy. Like, we're in a conversation, but we're in a neutral place, right? We're learning to be in a neutral, non-judgmental place of, I am here, um, in a loving, neutral energy, um, moving, elevating up in my life. And as I'm going along, um, I'm going to hear and see and receive the messages that are rungs in my ladder. And, something that just is really important, and I said it before and I'll say it again, is not to attach to the guide, message, thing, whatever. Because you'll go back and try to repeat it. It's not gonna happen. Because it's in that moment you're receiving what you need, right? And we keep moving. And when a message comes through me, and for a long time I wouldn't give them out, but then I'd be like, that doesn't make any sense. But then after a while, I'd be like, it doesn't have to make sense to me. And it's like, have you thought about this and that? What are you reading? Eh? Like it's that simple, right? And but we have to know that it's the divine moving through us. It's not us looking at somebody and saying, I think you should do this or do that, right? Because it'll bounce, boom, right off because they're not. We only receive what we're ready to receive. You can only sow, we're all farmers. Right? I always say I'm a farmer. I sow seeds, I water them, I weed, I remove stones, um, all of that. Uh, that's the function. The harvest has nothing to do with me unless it's my own life. Then the harvest is super important, right? But everything is love. Everything fits into the um, definition of love. Everything must resonate. I mean, I had somebody tell me once, hey, I met somebody. I think that you should talk to them. It was like a stone in my stomach. I'm like, yes. So I called this person out of the blue and I said, you don't know who I am, but I know I need to talk to you. And they're like, great, let's get together. We got together within a day. That person was instrumental in my life growth for an entire year, radically. But I had to like go, I'm taking off of work to come over there. You know, I don't know why I walk in the door. I don't know why I'm here, but I know I need to be here. And they said, I don't know why you're here either, but let's just keep going. And we figured it out. So, but I knew that I knew that I knew I absolutely that was something I needed to follow up on, not from here. This part of me was like, what are you crazy? But I was moving in life. I had asked a question. I have got to um, get help in this area. I've got to grow in this area. I have to figure this out. That was the question. This was an answer to that question. It's an ongoing conversation. And we open our eyes and look around, pay attention, right? Yes. Any questions or thoughts about that?
I'm sort of feeling disconcerted about the idea of spiritual junk mail.
Spiritual junk mail.
Things that come across your path that are, not good for you.
But you'll know because you have a connection. Everything has to resonate with who and what you are, with divinity. I mean, we all can see spam, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I
no
mean,
different.
I think
if I may
Delete.
add, I really like that concept of thinking about it as junk mail.
it is.
But like if you think about it in the sense of providence, then nothing is wasted. You know, everything that comes across your desk is pertinent to your journey and where you're going, right? But if you dismiss it and things is still hard for you, then you've asked for it to be that way. At least that's what I consider when, I'm not in the moment and I miss certain things. I don't beat myself up about it, but I notice that if things are, incrementally harder or increasingly harder for me, or I'm meeting some type of resistance, then I know that there's some providence along the way that I need to be paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
There's some antidote to this, that's right here in my face.
And also, I just believe once you're tapped in spiritually and like you're walking on on a different divine path for you. Everything that comes from your way, like Naja said, it was meant to be there to a certain extent. You know, sometimes we're spiritually strong enough to be in spaces where we might feel spiritually heavy, right? But we have enough spirituality in us to be in those spaces, to understand what's going on here. How can I help to a certain extent? Maybe I don't need to help. Maybe I need to walk away. Maybe I need to be introduced to something. I think it's all about how you perceive it, how you take it, and if you really truly trust your process. I think some people that are introduced to spirituality as beginners get scared and run away. For those who are been in it, nurturing it, taking care of it, and it's in such a beautiful community, they're like, hey, you know what? I can withstand the storm.
Um, yeah, and welcome.
Thank you, Kathleen. Your voice is so deep.
So, Kathleen is my wife. This is my face. This is my face. She used my laptop. My name is Bengali.
Hi.
My name is Bengali. So yeah.
And welcome. And we love that you're here. And yes, as we're all walking along on our journey and our growth process, um, it's all about our life as we're evolving is all about us. And that sounds funny and it sounds like everything opposite of what we've been taught. But if we focus on how am I being, what am I feeling, is this, love is my religion. Like love is Audrey's message. Love is Audrey's religion. So Audrey says, that's me. Does this line up with that? Is this in line with my truth? Because as I'm moving and growing and looking at what is happening within myself, I'm radiating energy out, right? Radiating energy out. It's the energy radiating out that is changing the energy around me and the people in my life and the environment that I'm in, right? So I focus on, um, the engine, that's the light that is, opening and letting the light press out. And, if I am in a situation and I'm like, what am I feeling right now? I'm feeling heavy. Then I say, why am I feeling heavy? That's a mirror for me. So then I need to uh, lift up within myself and raise the energy in my space instead of aligning with the energy that might be in the room. The dominant energy is going to conquer the room. Even at a party or anything, right? So we live more and more each moment every day within the love that it resides within us already. We allow more of it to have more room, more throw, more space in our life, and persona, less persona, more authentic divine light, less persona, right? And then our spiritual, um, we have ears to hear. We have internal eyes. Everything has to line up with our truth. But if we're not spending any time to develop and to tune down the static and tune up the internal voice, then there's going to be this grind trying to figure it out all the time. It doesn't take, how long does it take to line up, to get back between the lines, so to speak? That long. It's understanding, I need to turn in, I need to reconnect with the love that's within me. I need to spend a few moments there, a few breaths. You're there. just a few moments and a second, and we're realigned, right? So that's our lesson on spiritual guides of all different kinds. Uh, your inner um, high self will guide you. We don't start just, I've seen this go a couple different directions. And the more we are seeking and growing and spending time, the we will begin to notice and receive and understand these things. We don't chase outside of ourself to find out who we are once we know who we are, right? And if somebody comes up and they're like, hey, here's a message for you, I've had that happen, then I'll be like, yeah, I'm not, that's okay. That's okay. Like, I don't need it. Yeah. Because it's not going to be like that, you know. I have had people come up and be like just talking, and then I'm like, there's a message. That's the message for me. It's going to match my personality.
Well, it might be a message, not to, like, that's the wrong direction too, to reaffirm something maybe you were concerned about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the place to go.
Or you're always going to, it's always going to make sense. So Naja said something and I didn't have it, I didn't see it all.
Would you say that core values are important to this notion?
Absolutely. You have to know your truth. I mean, we're building a message here. Not to like pounce on that.
Now to ask.
But excuse me. Yes. 2 weeks ago, or I said, you have to settle what your truth is. You have to settle what your truths are. What are your truths and values in as your life? Is the divine within you? Are you the divine? You have got to settle these concepts, because then you're not looking way out here for something that's already in here. And, if you're, something is always going to resonate and line up with who you are and what you are. And if it doesn't, you're not going to miss any boat or anything. It'll come again in a different format. Like, I'll just be like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Like, I have a conversation all the time. Like that, I just talk. Like, divinity is like, I'm here, divinity's all here, and I just have a conversation. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, or that person keeps wanting to talk to me and I'm just not feeling it. I remove myself in a nice way. Like, I just don't receive it, right? But we know when we hear truth, we know when we hear truth that we don't understand too, because truth that we don't, that we don't understand isn't a lie. It just might be something we don't understand, like with this, with that bronze statue that I saw, right? But I received the message of it. So it's not like here's a message and you have to receive it, or I'm never speaking to you again from your divine heart. No, it's a conversation. I'm not understanding. I don't feel good about this. Bring it to me in a different way that I could receive it better. Like, there's nothing wrong with that conversation. It's how we would speak to one another, right? Somebody would say, hey, Audrey, can you say that in a different way? Or, right? So yes, we have to know what we believe, and we have to know uh, who and what we are. Um, and the conversations in here and what I receive from out here, from somebody else, from a book, from um, energy healer, whatever it is, resonates with what's here already. I know that it is okay, right? Because I have the conversation and I know who and what I am. So, and I'm very, I spent the time at the beginning going over all of that and being cautious because you don't have to seek this out. Everybody's had somebody come and talk to them or say something, and you're like, yes, I know that this is truth. Like, you got it. But it's happening all around us all the time. And we could hear the conversation more if we opened up to it and then, received it through the filter of our divine heart, right? It has to pass through that filter. You know, junk mail bounces off.
You know it's junk mail when you hear it.
And see it. You're like, what?
Yes, you feel it and know it. This is
Yeah.
true.
And then you get it in the gut. Like, don't open that.
Like,
Yeah, that's probably spam. It's probably going to attack my computer. We know, right? So it's so anybody else need anything more than that? So we will
It's
Vic,
Claire.
hi.
Hi. I hope you feel better.
I will. I'm on the mend. Was that all?
Well, I think it's really important what you said about your brain will say, "What are you, crazy? Like, this is crazy." But your divine self and your inner self and your heart self is like, "No, I must go here. I must go do this. Like, this is my truth." And it's been so important with my daily meditation to understand that those are separate and to listen to the divine self that is speaking to me because that is my truth. And if it feels tight and squeezy, don't do it.
Don't
Don't
do
live
it.
there. Yep.
You got to be in flow. And if you're like, yeah, this doesn't feel right, it'll come around again if it's truth, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a little meditation if you all can stay. Can
I
everyone
can.
stay for a few minutes? Since we talked through it and started a little bit late. If you can, we're gonna do that and do a little meditation just for opening up and discernment, and then we'll close it out. So get comfortable. Sit comfortably, relax your body, close your eyes. Connect with your breath. You're going to breathe in a little deeper than a normal breath. Exhale out a little deeper. And find your rhythm with your breathing. Allowing the inhale and exhale to soften your body. Feel yourself supported by your seat, by the earth beneath you. The space all around you, supporting you. Now focus your breath, breathing into your heart center or the center of your chest and exhaling out of that space. Breathing into the heart center and out. Softening, opening into the sanctuary, the secret garden of you. And connect with the emotion of love in this space. And allow love to flow into you and out. Feel love flowing in and out into the space around you, supporting you, lifting you in a sea of love. Allow yourself to be lifted and supported with the love that is in you and all around you. Connect with your divine self, your high self, your I am, which is this love that is in you and all around you. Open to spiritual ears to see and hear, eyes to see and ears to hear. The divine conversation that's here for you. It is within you and all around you. Open your awareness to the love. Desire to see things how they really are. Not how you think they are, but how they really are. In love and neutrality. In your own life. For your own journey. All the love, the mystery, the revelation is here for you. as you grow every day. It's here for you. Flowing through you and all around you. Now connect with the emotion of gratitude. Gratitude for your divine life. Gratitude for the light that is within you, flowing through you, lighting the path in front of you. Gratitude for a spirit of discernment and love that is in you and all around you. Gratitude for your unique expression of love. Receive the love that's here for you. It's already in you.